This is actually part of the property that's fairly close to the road. You can see it at the bottom. And in fact, if you walk closer, you can see that we're about 15 or 20 feet up the road. There is an embankment here that seems fairly stable. But I'm on the high spot of the property. I'm going to turn around. The property is quite hilly. Down there on the street level, it is quite a bit lower than it is here. This, however, is a bit of a ridge that runs from the front of the property to the back side. And so it does offer a fairly decent place to think of placing a structure. My idea is that instead of excavating, so look down here, it's a steep bank. You wouldn't want to build a drive up there, but you could build a drive that gets up to this ridge on a long circular sloping driveway on the other side of the property that arrives here. So this ridge goes all the way back to the property near Miss Rosalind Crump, with whom I spoke earlier this morning. But this ridge, again, is quite high. That is looking down at the neighbor's house. And this property goes another 25 or 30 feet toward that. I would say that ground level there is 30 to 35 feet lower. But again, there's this ridge. There's some land a bit higher and a bit lower along the ridge. I would say the elevation change is mostly level except for 4 to 5 feet there, and then down the big hill. However, if I were thinking constructing a home here, I would, let me get down a little further, I would, instead of excavating, I would build a home on piers. The back level would be approximately where you see the ground there. The front portion would be on piers, so we don't dig up all this nice property and have a mud cliff in the back. And the driveway would proceed this way, I think, which I believe offers a decent opportunity of getting to the building without it being too steep, although that's worth looking at again. I think you'd have to take a nice U-turn here, which should be fairly steep, and wind down this way. Perhaps you could excavate some of this area for the drive, not for the house, and landscape it properly. But this would be a steep drive. It may be why this property remains for sale, even though the other homes here are 20 to 40 years old. And so where I am right now, in essence, would be the front yard with a driveway of sorts passing across here to get up to the level of the house. So that would be where the front of the house is. And let's see if I can get us down to the street. Trying to stay somewhat level. And well, maybe it would work something like this. You come out. I love driveways that don't go straight to the street, so you come out around like this at a gentle angle, which also tends to conceal property. So if you walk along here, you start to have a rise in the property, eventually turning into this cutout embankment, which, as I showed you from earlier, would be 30 or 40 feet off to the side of the house. And then property actually goes pretty close to this next house where you see the light in the street. This is still the property. And we're now walking into what would be the backyard of the property. Again, a pretty steep slope, but there's the house, and property line would be about here, going up that hill. The structure itself would be barely visible from here. And that clear area back there is Mrs. Crump's garden. And it was once, it's sort of fenced in, it was once kept mowed, it's not now, but there's no landfill like I thought I saw on Google Earth. It's just a yard. So there you have it. A little property on Westcott Road, or whatever it is.